We're talking to Coach Carol Frazee about the Bellingham Bay Marathon here at Fairhaven Runners, which is a great place to get information, right?
Yes, it is.
What kind of information do you give runners to train for a marathon?
Tonight we're going to be talking about tapering and training and just the last few weeks of getting everything in place so you can run the race and be comfortable and just ready for the day.
Now you talk about tapering. It's hard for a runner to taper.
Yes.
Because they get excited. They say, no, I got to run more. How do you convince them to taper?
Tonight I have some studies. There's studies that show there's a 2015 study where they took all the literature review of all the tapering research, and every single one says, 3 weeks out to start tapering and it improves your performance. Like every one of them says that. And you don't lose any fitness during that time. So if that's not enough, and then I'll have other people talk about their experience when you do taper. You feel sluggish and everything for a few weeks, but then when you get on that starting line and you take off that first mile, right after that first mile you find your rhythm and you just feel so great because your glycogen stores are restored and all the healing occurred that needed to occur in your muscles, and you just click in.
So Coach, how did you get started running?
Excuse me?
How did you get started running?
I started running in high school when I was 13, and so I've been running, I think, 34 years now. And then I would say that running saved my life. So I was going the wrong direction in middle school, started running in high school, and then got to run in college then, so that was fun.
Do you remember your first coach?
Yes, Joe Kelly.
And what did he tell you that made you run?
I think he just found joy in it. He wasn't the greatest runner. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the slowest. But just being out there and talking and making it fun for us, and that's what it was.
And how do you do it for the runners now? The runners under your team.
Yes.
What do you tell them?
Just to have fun, just to relax, and also go your own pace. It doesn't matter. You're going to be lapped sometimes. You're going to be lapping others. All that doesn't matter. Just go your own pace, have fun with it, and just enjoy.
What about equipment? How do you recommend equipment to marathoners?
Marathoners, I always tell them, wear the same clothes you're going to wear in your long runs that you're going to run in the race, and always good shoes, always shoes that are for you. And I know Fairhaven Runners, they fit you just right, where they know what shoes, if you're neutral, if you're pronator, and getting the right shoe and the right fit is really important.
And what kind of shoes do you wear?
I wear actually 3 different brands
Do you really?
I switch off every day. I have a New Balance, I have Asics, and I also have Brooks right now.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to get a hold of you and be coached under you, where do they go?
They go to thefitschool.com. And yes, and we have a lot of good running programs and training programs online and in person.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. So for those that don't know, I know you guys know Carol, but Carol Frazee is going to be doing a talk with us tonight, and Ben's race director for Bellingham Bay. So yeah, really honored to have you guys both tonight. So it's always a pleasure. And we have our special guest too from Bellingham Distance Project. So thank you, ladies, for coming out. Really appreciate it. So do you have the floor first?
I think I do.
She's the organizing one. I'm winging it. So.
All right, awesome, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And I want to thank Fairhaven Runners for always putting on these events and always having all the information we need. And so thanks for coming out. And thanks to Courtney and Amber for being here, and Ben, the race director. And I think tonight what I wanted to talk about is more of the little details of the race. So if you could add in anything you want to and ask questions, that's what we're here for. Just get the last minute. What do we have, 2 weeks and 2 days?
Who's counting though?
Yeah, I think I like the little pressure. Who's counting, Courtney?
When's the race?
Yeah. So that little countdown always kills me in that.
Yeah, I
on
need to that thing.
I know, but it is fun on the website. That is a fun. So our goal tonight, again, is to answer all of your questions. And to get you, what I want to do first is get you to the starting line, to all the things we should do to get to the starting line. And then I'm going to go through all through the race, some mental strategies you can use. And then eventually get you to the finish line. So that's our goal. Race day, if you didn't know, is Sunday, September 24th for all the races, half marathon, marathon, 10K and 5K. And we're first going to talk about tapering. And runners, I love tapering. Most runners hate tapering, but it's really crucial to taper. I would say if you haven't done your longest run yet, don't do it now. And Courtney, don't listen to me. You don't have to listen to me, but I'm going to talk about all of the reasons for that. And my running partner calls me the taper queen, and she makes fun of, she says I practically don't run before a race. But until, we're the same level, and until she beats me in a marathon, she can't say anything. I still have a little edge on her, a 5-minute edge, so we'll talk about tapering. So that's the period right before running a race where you bring down your mileage. And it's really important because your glycogen stores in your muscles need to replenish, and also the little tears or whatever we do when we're running, they need to heal. And you may feel, I'm just speaking from experience and what I've heard from others, I know Amber has said this, taper tantrums, which you're used to running, so you have all that built up energy and you're nervous for the race, and you might not be the most pleasant person to be around. That's one. Also feeling sluggish and like, oh, these little aches and pains come up. And I find for myself that, that's the way I feel even the first mile of a marathon. Does it feel right? But then after that first mile, it feels so good. And you just feel like you find your rhythm and you feel lighter and rested, and then you can just go for it. And with even the half marathon too. I was looking at the 2015 literature research review, and they took all of the information on tapering, all of the science journals, and they found that every one of them said that tapering improves the performance better than not tapering. So on the y-axis, you have your glycogen stores within your muscle, so you're taking little pieces of your muscle and finding the glycogen in there that you need to run. And on the x-axis is if you tapered or you did not taper. So this doesn't show up on the thing, but that one, so the red little things going up, that's still increasing training. Going down was the glycogen stores in the muscle. So if you don't start tapering, then your glycogen stores start going down, down, down. And if you do taper and you decrease your mileage, your glycogen stores do come up. So the bottom line is you decrease risk of injury if you do taper, increase healing, and increase performance. So the race. Okay, so first of all, what is your goal? Is it a time goal? And yours doesn't have to be a time goal. It could be, I just want to have fun. I just want to meet 5 friends. It doesn't have to be what everyone else is doing. Like your relay, what's your relay goal? Is it have fun? Is it a certain time? Finish? It doesn't matter. Or some people they just want to walk. I want to run at least half of it. Or I want to get a certain time. So just decide what your goal is. Don't try to pick up on, oh, I should do what Brooke's doing, or I should do what Freddie's doing. But just, you have your own goal and your own reason to be out there. It might be, so your kids or your niece or nephew see you cross the finish line. Just have your own goal, but have that in your head, because there's a point in the race when you're going to need that goal. The main thing is go out relaxed. Whichever race you're doing, go out relaxed, because you get all excited, and the common thing is you just go out. And even my first marathon, my husband and I were going to try to qualify for Boston because his dad did. We're like, oh, it'll be easy, we can do that time. And we went out with half marathoners, all feeling good. All of our friends were doing the half marathon. And then around mile 18, I was struggling, and I came up on him. I'm like, oh, you came back for me. And he's like, no. So we tried to do it together, and neither of us qualified. But so going out too fast is a real problem. So really, and what you'll find, if you run in a lot of races in the area and you know the certain people that you're usually in front of, what you'll be going out and you'll be like, oh my gosh, he's way up there, Tammy's way over there. But you have to really hold yourself back, and we call that ego training, because your ego wants to, I should be up with them. But if you can hold back and go with them, or you'll find them later, I promise you. Relax, pace yourself. So that's important with pacing. And
that's
that's Paul. That's my husband, Paul. And those are little pacing we'll talk about. And the 4 C's. So you guys know the 4 C's. We do it for the mile. But if you want to break the, so these are different strategies you can use. And you can tell me yours too. Different strategies during a race to mentally do the race well. And we use the 4 C's for the mile, but you could do it also, which is each lap is one of these. But during a race, you could break it up into 4 segments. And the first one's control. So you should feel like you're holding back just a little bit. It feels just, you know what I mean when I mean by holding a little back, you're not like going all out. And that second one is contact. So if there's a person you see up ahead of you, just keep them in your sights and just pace off of them. And one other strategy with contact is, we talk about a rubber band. And so one thing a lot of people do, and I do this, is you pretend there's a rubber band between you and a person up there, and you kind of lean into them from your ankles, and that helps you just relax just a little bit, enough to be able to, once you relax, you can do a lot better. So if you pretend they're just pulling you along, and all these mental games will really help you. Keep going. Third one, so there's a third lap at a mile, or third part, or that third of the race, third part. That's when you really need to concentrate, because that's when all the negative thoughts flow in, and this is where you really need to prepare for, they may flow in, they may not. But that's when your body starts telling you, I want to stop. So just thinking about different strategies you can use. And one of the strategies, mantras, are one strategy you can use. And for those of you, if you do Barb Macklow, so she's from Bellingham, and she's the first woman in the U.S. to run 100 miles under 48 hours. And she was 83, I think, last year, 82. No. But her mantra is, that she keeps going over in her head, is, I am tall, my legs are long and strong. And she's 4'9" about. So, and she says, I know it's not true, but it really helps me. And that's what she'll say over and over in her head. So whatever and I tell the fit school women, like, quick feet, quick feet, quick feet, or I'm awesome, whatever you need to do to keep that mental part of the race, like, to keep those negative thoughts out and to kind of dissociate from the pain. Because it's going to be there. So any mantras you can think of, just try it out when you're running. It works. Even if they're not true, like Barb's.
Call me anytime.
Yeah.
I've got nothing else going on the next couple
Yeah,
weeks.
what's going on? So these are just little simple things you can do before race day. Go pick up your packet, what to wear, what to pack, get your water ready, your food ready for the next day, whatever you need to do. And the last part I do have is visualize the race. And I think that helps you get through the tough parts. If you can visualize how you're going to feel during those tough parts and what mantras you're going to have or whatever. Does anyone else have any things they use? I have a friend who, she types in her head, like when she starts hurting, she'll start typing because she does a lot of reports. So that's what she does in her head. By people that count their steps. Does anyone?
So what we'll do is we'll be at the beginning of the start line of each race, at the half and at the full. And about 15 minutes before the race, you'll see somebody in a pacing shirt. I'm not sure what color they do this
Similar
yet.
to those, actually.
Similar to this.
Very bright, obnoxious
Very
yellow.
bright, and I believe we'll say pacer even on the back
Yes.
as well. And this person will have a stick and they'll have it up, and that's who you want to go with. So they'll kind of line up in order. And what it kind of helps too is the start line corrals is kind of get people in the right place, so you don't have, the 430s at the front of the line or however that is. So it kind of helps the race, I guess, funnel through the times. For the full marathon, we actually have 2 pacers. They will switch at mile 13. So what they'll do is a second pacer will come in, they'll join the first pacer, learn the pace, make sure that they have it right, because just like when you've been tapering, you get really excited to jump in and then you take off too quick with your pace group. So they learn it and then they hand it off at mile 13, 14, and then a second pacer will take you through the finish. And they have their splits, here, and they will be just spot on. They're almost perfect, every single one of them. So yeah, they usually 1 or 2 watches or whatever that they do, so that they make sure they have it right. Most of them will try to carry a goo or something on them too, in case somebody doesn't have one or drops one. They're pretty good about calling out the water stops along the way. There's
We're
not
gonna
much
have
more.
a pacing booth at the expo on Saturday, so if anyone has further questions, we'll be there answering questions. And we'll be providing these pacer bands there for those various times, so that the racers can wear them themselves too, if they lose sight of the pacer or the group.
It's about every 2 miles. For the half, you'll go about 2.5 miles before the first one, then about another 2.5 miles before the second one, then every 2 miles. So the first couple are stretched out a little bit further, and that's sort of to get them in line with the marathon stations.
Okay. And do those have gels and stuff at them, or is?
So each station, each hydration station will have electrolyte drink, water, and basic first aid supplies if you need something. There is one gel station on the half course. Trader Joe's is a sponsor this year, and they were really wanting to do something like out on the course, and so we decided to ask them. They offered, and we asked. They're gonna, I think, have bananas and oranges and little candies.
Cool.
Any words of the wise for the relay?
Yeah, I wanna hear more about the relay.
Sure.
How many people have signed up?
There are, I think officially, the relay teams are all slacking. Like I think there are about 25 that have at least verbally committed.
Oh,
And so that will be, right, except for April's team, I think is fully signed up.
good.
But a lot of the teams have like a captain
We
and.
should by
no,
now, I
No
think.
team.
Right, right. But I'm guessing it should be between 25 and 30 teams overall, which is definitely more than I would have guessed, or at least like on the upper end of what I would have guessed this first time
For
around.
the inaugural, yeah.
Yeah. And so for anyone who's unaware, there is a marathon relay option this year, and it's a set number of 5 team members, and 5 established legs, and so 4 exchange points. And April has tested you can blame April if the directions are bad. She drove them.
Twice. I drove them again with somebody else just to make sure that I was reading it.
I got an email recently because I kind of went out of my way I used some fairly stern warnings at the front of the instructions, like if you drive on the course, you may be disqualified, things like that, because we want to keep the relay traffic off the marathon course, and we've given them specific routes to take. And I had there's a little stretch where we are having them drive the marathon course. It's a stretch where it makes sense on our end too, but I had someone point out that there was a contradiction there, that I was telling them to drive the marathon course, but then I was also threatening
No,
to
it wasn't me,
disqualify them.
and it wouldn't have been the person that was
Yes.
So,
There's no other way.
Yeah,
so what are the teams exchanging at the exchange points?
right. Kind of nothing. So, right, so, yeah, these are good questions. Hopefully I have answers. The exchange points themselves, we've also worked pretty hard to really sort of pinpoint where the exchange points are on map, and to make sure that teams know that information in advance. And so the exchange points themselves will be pretty unremarkable. I think we're just going to have an A-frame and a volunteer who makes sure that the teams are congregating at this spot, and they'll be off to the side so where they're not disrupting the race itself. You won't be, I guess we should at least have you do a high five or something. You'll each have your own bib, but only the last runner will have a chip. Okay? So you'll get 5 of the same number, only one will have a chip, and you need to make sure that it's your 5th runner who has the chip
So
on
what
his or her
about
bib.
knowing you won't know splits?
Right, and so if you care about your individual leg times, that's going to be on your own to track. But you won't actually exchange. We won't ask you to carry a baton or anything crazy like that. We're excited about the relay. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll add some good energy to the marathon. There's one CrossFit gym in town that has 5 teams.
Are you talking about Fulton
Yeah.
CrossFit? They're awesome.
Yeah.
They usually come in costumes too, so it'll be fun.
Nice. That's instructor needs a reminder. Marathon 7:30, same for relay teams. Half marathon 9 o'clock, and I guess that's all the live streaming here.
2:45 flat it has to be.
I'm exactly half as fast as you. That makes me feel so much better.
And you've done it 2:45.
I've done 2:45 before. Yeah, this one's a harder course.
But you're in better shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta do all that self-positive talk.
Yeah,
Love the hills,
I'm
eat the
tall,
hills
I'm
like
tall.
dessert. I'm tall. Yeah, so that's the time. So it's like 6:18 pace, and I've got 2 male pacers that'll help me kind of just stay focused, because I kind of tune out a little bit. Yeah, and I've been training on the back half of the course a lot.
Yeah.
I saw him one day on a tempo, and he's like, "Hey," and it looked like he wanted to talk, and I'm like, yeah. So it's going to be very hard, but I'm excited to do it in my hometown, so, and around so many loving people. So
Carol, did you take all these pictures?
Some of them.
you're really good at
Stole them off.
PowerPoints.
Thank you. PowerPoint. There's Cody, sorry, there's
Go
Cody.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Cody.
I did not take that one, that was fun. That one I did.
After scrolling back, seeing the taper slides, one of the things when you're talking, Carol, about that taper, and it just made me think when I was training for my first 50K, the checking out 50K. One of the things with taper tantrums that I couldn't felt so restless, and then I felt rusty every single time I'd go on my little taper runs, and talking to a lot of people, like my longest run for the 50K, I did a marathon 3 weeks before. And so I was like, okay, well I could do 26.2, so I should be able to do 31, but I wasn't sure. And one of the things that everybody kept telling me is to trust your training.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that really resonates well with me now whenever I'm training for something is the taper period. It's supposed to kind of make you feel anxious because you have all that energy. So I think if anything, if I had to give some advice to anybody that's never tapered before or is feeling rusty on some of their runs, just trust your training.
Thank you. Yeah, because I had one that said trust on it.
This will be my 4th year as event director. This is my 4th year.
Are you tired? Are you exhausted?
Yes and yes. Right now I'm exhausted. I'm also excited, sort of surviving on mostly adrenaline, a little caffeine, but very excited for race weekend.
So how many people do you expect for race weekend for the marathon?
For the marathon specifically, should be around 350 people. Half marathon, probably looking at about 1,400. 5K and 10K, it's always a little bit of a wild card. We're never quite sure what late registration is going to do. Assuming a lot of people come in last minute for those, probably about 400 for the 10K, 350 for the 5K.
And a relay, you have a relay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, the relay's new. We decided kind of last minute to offer that. We decided about 2.5 months ago, why not give more people a chance to experience our marathon course. So the relay consists of 5-member teams, sort of established relay exchange points, and so everybody gets to run about a 10K, a little bit less, about 5 miles of the regular marathon course.
Now, Ben, you've been doing a really good program. You have people show up and train
Yeah.
with a lot of the runners that
Yeah.
are running the race,
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
What a great thing you're doing.
Yeah, so that's been really partnership with 2 local existing programs and then 2 local running stores, all of which have been great, highly supportive of us. But Fit School, especially Carol Frazee, has just done a tremendous job of working with us and providing our participants with free training plans, and then helping us out with some group runs, previewing the race courses and those types of things, which have been really well received this year.
We're at the Aslan Brewery in Bellingham, downtown Bellingham.
Beautiful day. Hopefully it's like this on race day.
That's right. We're talking to Ben Twig about the marathon, half marathon, and all that. Talking about how much fun it is, how much empowers me, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Why did you want to be a race director?
Great question. It kind of happened accidentally. I have a background in more of the youth soccer world director roles. I moved to Bellingham about 6 years ago, got plugged into the local running scene, got involved with this event, got more and more involved with this event, and here I am.
How much fun is it?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Sleep a lot afterwards?
I do. Yes, in 2 weeks, don't call me, don't email me. It'll be a while before you hear back from me.
Now, the expo is going to be where?
The expo will be at the Bellingham Cruise Terminal, the ferry terminal down in Fairhaven, and that's a change in venue for us. Pretty excited about that. We think it'll be just a great location, especially for out-of-town participants to be able to be on the water in Fairhaven. A lot of great vendors this year. Really excited for that. It'll be Saturday before race day.
What's the website, Ben?
BellinghamBayMarathon.org.
And you have a Facebook page?
Yes.
And Twitter?
Yes, I think with each social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we are at Beham Bay Marathon. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but
Thanks, Ben, so much.
you're welcome. Pleasure, Leo.
This guy is one of the cornerstones of it. So
Many years ago, as a matter of fact, this is our 11th year. I was the board president of Bellingham Bay Swim Team, and we were discussing how we could develop a fundraiser that would benefit scholarships for swimmers. And so we came up initially with a half marathon, that became a full marathon, and so a bunch of folks that didn't know how to put on a marathon, year one, we ended up having 2,100 runners, and a great success. However, it rained that first year, and it got really windy. But
the rain was coming sideways.
it really was. It was a challenge for our volunteers, but we pride ourselves on being one of the best volunteered marathons or running events, not just in Whatcom County, but in the nation. And David Penrose is our former race director for 5 years, 6 years? 6 years. So David really brought the marathon from a real small, not achieving marathon, and we did achieve our goals, but to where David brought our course, a different course, where we're now out at the Lummi tribe, and they've welcomed us with open arms, and in fact they send off the marathoners with a drum, the drummers, and a prayer. So it's been a great experience.
You know what? I'll try and make this really short. My daughter was on the swim team, and I was invited to come after I think it was after the first year, or maybe after the second year. It was after the second year, and I was invited to a board meeting, and I was just listening and observing and provided a few suggestions. They invited me back to another board meeting. By the third board meeting, they asked whether I would join the board, and I don't know, at one point I started chairing the board, then I started managing the event. So it was a gradual, I don't know, these guys had me at, I think, the first invite, because I love running, I like this community, and the people that are involved, like Chris, they're just so welcoming, they got big hearts, and the intention of this fundraising event, this huge fundraising event, potentially I think probably the largest fundraising event in Whatcom County.
David, I don't know.
I never thought about that, but I think it might be.
David, every year I load our marathoners onto buses if they choose to be transported, and I get an opportunity to get up in front of the bus full of folks, and I tell them about the marathon, that it is a fundraiser, and that last year, year 10, I was able to tell the folks that in 10 years we've raised over $500,000 for local youth sports, and I'm very proud of that. And that's because of all the volunteers from Whatcom Ranger Soccer Club, from Bellingham Bay Swim Team, from around the community, people just coming out and saying, I want to help. And so, very proud of it. And very proud of David, who, although is not our race director anymore, is still always involved. So, it's been fantastic.
Well, thanks for having me on.